ask East Lamphere how they do theirs. Because they have stuff already on it when it gets, just do it automatically. I don't know. Or do it to say what you do.
Hi.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the East Hempfield Township Board of Supervisor meeting. Tonight's meeting has been advertised to be held in person and online using Zoom with login and call-in information posted on our website. Tonight's video and audio is being recorded. For tonight's meeting, Robert's rules will still apply, and the meeting will be run by the chairman, who will be assisted by an employee managing Zoom. During the meeting, to offer comment, you must be recognized by the chairman. East Hempfield Township public comment rules will apply for all public comment. You must be a resident or business owner in the township to speak. You must identify yourself by name and address before speaking and sign the guest log for meeting minute purposes or follow the chat procedure already discussed. Comment is limited to 3 minutes and must be about the agenda item being discussed, with the exception of public comment for non-agenda items. It should be noted no action will be taken on any non-agenda item of a non-emergency nature during the public comment period for non-agenda items. All comments should be directed towards the board. We will now move on to our first agenda item, and I would ask that you join me and rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first order of business tonight is a public hearing for liquor license transfer to 3441 Columbia Avenue, Classic Minute Mart LLC. I will open the hearing. It is 7:03 p.m. An application has been received from Classic Minute Mart LLC requesting the township to approve a restaurant liquor license transfer from Country Garden Six-Pack Restaurant of Lancaster LLC into the township. The hearing has been duly advertised on December 31st, 2024 and January 7th, 2025 in the Lancaster newspaper. The court stenographer is present to record the testimony. Attorney Caitlin Rohrball from Barley Snyder is present for the applicant, and we will turn it over to her to present her case.
Thank you. Is this thing working? Can you hear me?
Yep, it's on.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Caitlin Rohrbaugh. I'm here on behalf of the applicant and the proposed licensee for this intermunicipal transfer request. So we are specifically requesting, as stated, that a restaurant liquor license be transferred from Lancaster City, where it currently resides, to 3441 Columbia Avenue within your township. And I do have with me tonight all of the members of the ownership of the property, as well as the LLC members. And specifically, they're here to answer any questions that you guys may have with them moving forward with this. So just a little bit of background. I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with intermunicipal transfers, but the Pennsylvania Liquor Code, specifically section 47, 4-461, allows a municipality to approve the request for an intermunicipal transfer of a license unless it finds that doing so would adversely affect the health, welfare, peace, and morals of the municipality or its residents. And specifically, the legislator has established that the principle that a licensed establishment is not ordinarily detrimental in itself to the welfare, health, and morals of its neighborhood, to its residents. So specifically, there must be some type of substantive finding that this license would be adverse to the health, welfare, morals for some specific reason. I have been informed that there is or may be a concern about this property in general and the previous uses of this property. And I know we have wonderful police chief here with us tonight. And my clients can testify to this as well, but the hours of operation are not going to be conducive to that of what I would otherwise call riffraff. The plan is for them to be open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. They will be closed at 11 p.m. And our clients are amenable to working with the township, the police, in ensuring that none of that comes back. My clients did purchase the property on or around 2020, and they've recently informed me that there actually has been an eviction of certain residential tenants that they have there that they believe have caused problems with the police in the past. And they know that some previous businesses, specifically bars that had been there in the past, have caused issues. And again, that's not the goal here. The goal is a neighborhood, family-oriented mini mart. And if they are able to get the liquor license, there would be seating for 30, food for 30 people, and they would need to be required to have a valid health license under the PLCB liquor code. So this is kind of our first step. There has not been an application yet for the license because we can't even apply for the transfer of the license until we get your approval to have the license transferred into the municipality. So if we get your approval tonight, there would be an application for that transfer of the license, and then that location, the site, and what it is proposed to be would then need to be approved for the transfer by the PLCB as well. So sometimes there's confusion about whether you guys are actually approving that the license be held in this specific site. That's for PLCB to do. And tonight we're just requesting that you approve it be transferred specifically into the township. And I just wanted to give you a little bit more background on their goals here. So obviously their goals would be to monitor any type of drinking and the behavior of patrons who may be disorderly. Under the code, it is not permitted to serve visibly intoxicated patrons, and they're actually at risk of losing their license if they do. And again, like I said, they're willing to work with the police in the event anything becomes disorderly. And there will be no amusements that they're applying for. So they're under the liquor code, you can apply for specific amusements, which allow you to have bands and karaoke and games and all of that stuff. That's not the intent. Again, the intent is just to be able to serve alcohol with the food that they intend to serve if they're able to get a license. And hours of operation, like I said, will be 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. And the numbers of employees will be at first 2, but obviously if more are needed, In terms of the license or just managing the store, there may be more that are hired then. And to be clear, the plans are not to construct an actual bar. There will not be a bar which serves, it will be solely tables, so family style seating. And any alcohol would be served to those tables with the food, and not at some type of specific bar location. And in your packet, I do have our initial letter, the application that was submitted, which has some information about licenses that are active and non-active currently within your township. And then I just have some pictures that were pulled so that you can see the front. There's plenty of parking for the establishment. And then you can see that there's generally a use of mixed kind of commercial, residential, recreational around the property. So based on all of that information, we are requesting that there be a motion to approve the resolution that I believe was proposed to you, and that we be permitted to bring the restaurant license into your township. And if you have any questions specifically about operation plan, anything like that, the members would be happy to answer any of those questions for you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board at this time?
I have a couple.
Go ahead.
For the record, would you mind identifying the members of the LLC
Yes.
by name?
Ooh.
And whether they're a resident of East Hempfield or not?
Yes, I can
Not-
do that. Would you guys mind identifying yourself?
Can you
Um,
please use the microphone for the recording for minutes?
You're also going to have to sign in as well.
My name is Dari Kafle. I live in East Hempfield Township. Is that
That's it.
good or you need
Good,
more?
That's good.
My name is Kamal Kafle. We are brothers and I lived on 833 Stonebridge Drive, Lancaster, East Hempfield too.
Perfect.
My name is Shanka Tamang. I live in Lancaster.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Santa Manjar. I live in Lancaster.
Okay.
My name is Onis Tamang. I live in Lancaster.
My next question, who's the boss?
Yeah. So.
Who's the main?
Use the microphone,
Yes.
please.
And we are the owner of the property.
Okay,
Can you repeat that for us?
We two brothers are the owner of the property, 50-50%, and we are the owner of the bar too.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Do you have any experience in this kind of business?
Back in the country, yes. But here now, I'm in the healthcare, so I know the effect of alcohol with health. We are learning from other people. yes.
Okay. Well, we're glad you're here and in East Hempfield Township.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, when you say liquor, does that imply like beer and wine or also like, all kinds of liquor?
Yeah, good question. So it'll be a restaurant license, which does allow service of anything that you could think of in terms of beer, wine, and the typical liquors that you would see when you walk into a restaurant and can order that. I don't know specifically if you guys have an indication of what you intend to actually sell.
For now, we are just planning to do just beer and wine, not the bar. In case in future, I think we need to get authorized from the township. We will let township know about it. But for now, we're planning to do just the beer and wine.
Yeah, so for my own edification here, so what he just said, that implies a different license if it's going to be like harder liquor?
No, it does, it
Oh.
does not. So
Oh, it
their
doesn't.
intention is to not at this time sell any type of liquor, but the restaurant license would allow them to sell if they wanted to.
Okay, thank you.
Did you have anything?
No.
Mr. Russ?
My only comment, and I think you've addressed it, was the past policing actions that occurred with the past people that were at that location. And it's just my hope that, again, that we will not have that in the future, that's all.
when we bought the property, we were aware about the issues, what were happening. And I myself, I'll call a couple of times, like, police officer a couple of times there. And I took actions against it, and I have evicted those people who were giving trouble to all and to us as well as other people. So one person is no more in the world. So the other one, we evicted, and I think she's living in Lancaster right now. So we don't have any issues after these two people were evicted. So we are so peace at this time.
Thank you. That was my only concern.
Mr. Brubaker, did you have any questions?
No, I'm fine here. Thanks.
I have none. Okay. So at this time, we're going to open it up to the audience. If you have any questions, we do need you to come to the microphone and state your name and address before asking any questions. So we'll start here on the left side. Is there anyone here on the left side that wishes to ask any questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move over to the right side. Is there anyone on this side of the room that would like to ask any questions? Okay. Seeing none, is there anyone online that would like to ask
No,
a
sir.
question? Okay. Well, seeing none, and there's no more questions from the board, we will close the hearing. It is 7:15 p.m. We'll close the hearing. And at this point, I would say to the board, we can take action. I see no reason why we would not. Is the board okay with taking action here tonight? Okay. All right. So do I hear a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-03, authorizing the transfer of the liquor license into East Hempfield Township? Okay, motion for Mr. Bennett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second for Mr. Johnson. All of those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, and gentlemen, good luck in East Hempfield Township. We're glad you're here, and we hope it's a success.
Thank you.
Caitlin, could you make sure that they sign in before they leave, please?
Up next on our agenda is the consent agenda. And we have, as a matter of routine, business and escrow reduction. I just want to see, is there anyone here from the audience, from Traditions of America, or a resident of the community that wants to speak about the escrow reduction? Okay. So at this point, come on up, sir, state your name.
Richard Hendricks, 981 Founder's Way. I'm on the board of the East Petersburg Homeowners Association and the Traditions of American Development there. We're simply asking that the supervisors would defer making a decision on this escrow reduction. It currently stands at a little over $1,600,000. The proposed reductions would take it down to $672,000. Our concern is that given the scope of work that we've identified in the transition deficiency study, which we had conducted by Falcon Engineering, and a copy has been provided to the township. Nate and Cindy have had it for roughly a month's time. So there are a number of items in there that we're concerned that are going to cost either TOA or the HOA some substantial amount of money to fix. We're already in discussions with an attorney on those things which are not township related, but are related to the swimming pool, clubhouse, that sort of thing, which will be our HOA responsibility. We understand that. It is the completion of the stormwater basins, it's the paving of the streets, and it's the repair of at least 6 sinkholes that we know of right now that need to be addressed. And $600,000 may sound like a lot of money, but when you get into doing those kinds of work, you don't know what you're going to get into. It could well escalate, and our concern is that if TOA believes that it's in their financial best interest to walk away from this and essentially hand it over to the HOA and the township, say, okay, you got your $674,000, you take care of it, there would be little or nothing we could do. So once you grant the reduction, there's no way to get it back. You can't go back and say, oh, geez, we made a mistake. We should have kept $1 million and not the $670,000. All we're simply asking is that this decision be deferred until such time as a more detailed cost estimate and the nature of the scope of the work that needs to be done has a chance to be completed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here from the audience or from Zoom that would like to comment on this escrow reduction for TOA? Okay. So just as a point of clarification, so everyone's aware, the escrow reductions are for certain items that have been completed and then been inspected by our staff and our engineer to make sure that we're comfortable in giving those escrow reductions. Unfortunately, this is not the first time that we would have had a complaint similar to this, where we're being asked to weigh in as a form of leverage on the property developer, builder. But unfortunately, we really can't. We're governed by a strict set of rules and really have to only consider whether they've done what they were supposed to at this time. I'll open it up for the rest of the board to comment on this as well.
I guess my question would be, is this an escrow reduction that must be made tonight? I wasn't, quite frankly, I wasn't aware that the homeowners association had done a detailed, or has started to do a detailed study of the issues. So again, sort of getting back to the question, do these escrow reductions need to be made tonight, or can they be made in 2 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever?
I think the MPC does dictate a timeline for those escrow reductions.
The MPC requires us to act within 45 days of receiving the request. This week is the end of that time period. The reviews were delayed due to the holidays and whatnot, so this is the 45-day limit.
And just so Mr. Bennett's clear, if we don't take action, they automatically get approved.
Correct, yes.
We would actually have to take action to deny them. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then to do that, we really should have some type of cause, if I'm understanding correctly, showing that they're deficient.
That's correct.
Okay.
I assume our township engineer had a copy of the HOA's report?
I believe they do, yes.
As Mr. Hendricks did mention, some of the things in the report have to do with strictly HOA and TOA involvement, not the township. He does mention the roadways being topped, the sinkholes. Those will all be addressed as we start clearing out everything. They're just not ready to do that yet, and the $600,000 that will remain is sufficient, according to the engineer, to cover those costs. And I think the issue is leverage against the developer on behalf of the HOA, which I don't know if the township is interested in being in that position with the escrows.
My position is that we do things legally. So whatever law says we have to do, we need to do is, but you're saying our engineer has reviewed the report at this point?
He's reviewed the report, but not reviewed the report based on the escrow reductions. He got it at the same time Nate and I did.
So from a practical matter, we would actually have to, in order to preserve this, if my understanding is correct, we actually have to deny the reduction request tonight. If we do nothing, it's automatically deemed approved after 45 days.
It would be deemed approved for the amount that they were requesting, yes.
Was the amount they're requesting more or less than what was given?
It would have been more than what DMA is recommending.
Okay, so DMA came back with a less recommendation.
Yes.
Do you have those numbers handy?
Yeah, it's 675. There's three letters, three escrow reductions. They will work out to about 675.
That's what they work
That
out to,
was-
but what did they actually request?
You gotta have a line item of each
I'm
request.
pulling up the information now.
Just so the record is clear also, our attorney also has a copy of that report. We provided that to her as soon as we got it.
Do these letters show that, what was requested?
That'd be an like Excel spreadsheet, usually rather lengthy.
I mean, I don't see that on.
No, it's just a summary.
Mr. Sturgis, while you're doing that, I'm going to pull out the rest of these items in the consent agenda. And we'll pause on the TOA items, the escrow reductions, and come back to that. In the rest of the consent agenda items, D through H, again, these are common ordinary items, routine business that require very little debate. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda items D through H?
So moved.
A motion from Mr. Russell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Bennett. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. We're going to pause until you're ready.
Yep, ready.
You ready? Okay.
For phase one, TOA requested, 289,107.25. Phase two, 574,337.50. And phase three, 210,381.98.
What was the first one?
289,000.
So the first one, they requested 289 and change, and after inspections, it was recommended a reduction of 261, 281. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. And then in number two,
Number two, 574,337.50.
and then they recommended 527,376. Okay. And then phase three, they had requested 210,000. And it was recommended for 140,000.
Correct.
Okay.
Do we know the items that David Miller pulled out of the escrow reduction? Or like some of the paving or something in those pullouts?
Specifically off the top of my head, I do not know. I can provide those detailed lists, though.
So I'd say, what's the board thinking? We really have two options. Either the third option, if we do nothing, it's going to be deemed approved for what they asked for, and I don't think we want to do that. That's going to be a larger amount than what we're recommended to grant. So we can either grant the proposal or we can reject it.
Well, I'm not really sure what we'd be rejecting it for right now either. I mean, it does give me pause when paving's one of the issues, and that's an escrow item, so, but also not knowing how the breakout was. I don't know, we're kind of in a rock and a hard place right now.
The full final paving is still in the escrow.
What's that?
The full final paving top is still in the escrow.
Okay.
as well as the fencing around the retention basins. Those
Okay.
are the two big line items that I had noticed when I was looking at those documents.
Okay, so there's still a paving line item then.
At 100%, yes, for the final pave.
And how much is there after the reduction?
670,
So we have paving completion and fencing around a basin, of the basins.
and other smaller line items, yes.
And then there are other issues after that
Well,
So
there's,
that are between the HOA and the,
there are construction issues between the HOA and the TOA.
But we have to be very careful with escrow reductions. It has to be just for work that was in the public work and whether it was done or not done. If it was done incorrectly and there's corrections, then you can make some adjustments. And it does sound like David Miller made some adjustments to the escrow, but in terms of a couple $100,000.
And we do have other mechanisms to take care of some of the items, like the sinkholes. That's covered under the stormwater O&M agreement. We've reached out for them to repair those. If they don't, then we can pursue it that way.
and they're not escrow items, are you saying?
Sometimes they just happen after we've released it. There's nothing that we can really do as far as how we keep financial security. They've already done the work to make those basins. A sinkhole just happened to occur after the fact.
And then we have the safety net of having the O&M agreement to force the issue.
So the stormwater stuff is taken care of with the stormwater maintenance agreement. So, and then we talked about the paving issues. We have paving at 100% not withdrawn right now. So it sounds like we, on our end, we got the ability to correct the public issues.
do you have any comments on it?
No.
And from my perspective, I'd just like to add, we sympathize with you. We really do. This is not like you're wrong and they're right. We're just limited in what we can do and the ability of our authority. We really do need a reason to say no when we deny, and we just don't have that right now in front of us.
We appreciate the fact that you reduced the amount that they had originally requested, and that if your engineer believes that what's left is sufficient to take care of the work, we understand that. We just wanted to make sure it was on the public record.
Very, very well aware of it, and I'm sure we'll be paying attention to potholes in particular, as well as sinkholes.
Are there any other comments from the audience in regards to this issue? Okay. Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve consent agenda items, escrow reductions for Traditions of America's items A, B, and C?
So moved.
Motion for Mr. Russell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second for Mr. Johnson. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Yeah.
Thank you, and hopefully this will get resolved, and Township will be glad to work with you on some of these things.
Yeah. Let me just ask a question. After the vote, a little late, but the escrow reduction would be the amount that DMA requested, right? That's understood
Mhm.
That's
here.
the request on your agenda, yes.
Yep.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if they, if TOA requested one amount, DMA suggested a lower amount.
It is a DMA recommendation.
Okay, so that's what we just approved.
Yes.
Okay. thank you.
Typically for an escrow reduction, it gets submitted by the developer, gets handed off to the township engineer goes out, verifies quantities. If they discover any deficiencies, they will, where quantities are off, they'll reduce the amount that's being requested. And that's what sounds like David Miller did here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Moving on, action items, McDonald's restaurant rebuild final plan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Drew Manley. I'm with Langen Engineering. We're the civil engineer on the project, and tonight we are here to present the McDonald's rebuild project. Typically, McDonald's likes to classify these rebuilds as a demolition of their existing store and upgrading it with a new structure and other site amenities such as utilities, landscaping, new pavements, signage, things of that sort. We are looking to maintain the same configuration and overall traffic flow of the site. And with this new design, we are requesting a handful of modifications to the code. We worked with the township engineer to value engineer the design to make it as best as we could. With that, I'd like to keep it short and sweet. I'm happy to go through each modification with you to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
Any changes in impervious or any of that kind of stuff, or it's all pretty much the same footprint?
Pretty much the same, but we're actually reducing impervious, so better impacts the stormwater management. And
Awesome.
we are adding a small rain garden towards Hempfield Road, which will capture and control and release the roof runoff from the new structure.
So basically, to sum it up, it's a new building, better improved parking lot configuration, taking into account the Centerville project, reduced impervious, and you add stormwater facilities. So it sounds like a win-win.
Correct, yeah. And to add on to, we're, out there today, there's no existing catch basins or stormwater piping out there. We're adding a few of those to, better manage that runoff and to create a better overall experience when you're on the property.
I tried to get to this at our last meeting and I didn't do a good job, but there's a point of ingress or egress on Centerville Road, just south of the Route 30 entrance ramp. It's on that side of the road, okay? Is that an ingress or egress only, or is it an exit from the parking lot?
It is not, no, it is ingress only as it is today. That access was part of the improvements I believe PennDOT did along with the sidewalk along Hempfield Road.
Who's gonna enter at that exit or entrance?
You would be entering the site through that entrance coming north on Centerville. You cannot enter the site going south and make a left into there. The actual configuration kind of is slightly turned to deter traffic to turn in there. And also, there's a double yellow line there, which you shouldn't be turning past that anyway. If you do have the survey, I think it's a part of the plan set where you can see the entire site a little bit better. It's the existing conditions, but still you can get a feel for what's going on out there.
This is Centerville Road on the left.
Oop, sorry.
There's like a little wavy line that happens to this driveway.
Centerville Road is over here further to the left of the screen,
There is a
if it comes back up.
road or a ramp that's coming in here.
The ingress is shown on the plan on the screen.
Yeah, I don't know if Google Maps is up to date yet. I don't even know if they got the full access built yet for Centerville.
I think the access is there, but I don't believe it's open. Not sure.
Yeah, the access is built and it does have an extreme curve to it that it would make it very difficult for anybody going south to turn in there. And it is currently blocked off.
It'll be prohibited. A left turn there will be prohibited.
Correct.
Okay.
We're coming north on Centerville.
No, going
Or sorry,
south on Centerville. South on Centerville.
yes, the only way you could enter the site is to come along Hempfield, where that is a full movement.
You come all the way down to the light and enter the site that way. But so will that be an exit from the? from the restaurant? There's a ramp there now.
The only exit will be along Hemplin.
So it'll be a right turn and only for northbound traffic. Okay.
Okay. I see something.
So that site design is not theirs. That was PennDOT's required use of that space, and it was the only way that PennDOT would allow that access onto Centerville Road to continue to exist with the new traffic patterns created by the intersection improvements.
There's no one that exits that restaurant right now except onto Hempland.
In the future, that's correct.
Before the construction, it was a two-way access. You could,
Okay. I'm good.
not a plan was.
Anyone else? Mr. Russell? Mr. Brubaker?
No, I agree. I think I had some concerns about that as well, but it sounds like PennDOT had some say in that. I'm not sure why you would even need that entrance, but if PennDOT laid it out, you know, so long as, you know, folks coming south on Centerville are unable to make that left-hand turn into that entrance, I don't have any problem with it. It just doesn't seem like it would be necessary. But obviously if PennDOT wants it there, then, you know, just looks to me like it's going to be possible to make a left-hand turn into that the way it's shaped.
Yeah, I mean,
See, right there.
so the only way that you can get in there is turning right if you're headed north.
Well, if you're heading north, you should be able to turn into the restaurant.
Right.
Is that what that's going to be used for primarily? My concern is traffic coming southbound is going to try to make that left there just after the turn onto Route 30.
So Mr. Bennett, as a part of the Centerville Road project, this was redesigned by PennDOT and their engineers to create as much as possible a prevention of that left turn across traffic, even though we have multiple places across the township where we have the same design and it doesn't deter people from doing the wrong thing. It is designed based on PennDOT standards to prevent left turns across traffic into that driveway.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone on Zoom that had any comments? Okay. Anyone from the audience again?
Mr. Kennard, can you please go to the microphone?
That was my comment last time. Fred Kennard, 109 Clover Circle. I mean, people make that turn now, and there's lots of, it was like going into the Turkey Hill at, there further down, so you could make a weird turn and kind of double back in. So I'll try and see if I can do it once it opens up, and I'll let the police chief know if it's possible. But the yellow line should stop me, right? This is what I was told.
So it looks like they moved from the existing entrance. It looks like it was moved further north, and it's made a turning radius that's pretty significant. So I think it naturally deters it. If somebody has a will, I'm sure they will find a way. And hopefully our police will be there to point out the deficiency. But hearing that it's PennDOT designed and looking at the design and understanding what was just said, I understand what they're doing. I feel they've made the modifications they need to there. Anyone else here on this? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion to conditionally approve modification waiver request 1 through 5 and approve request 6 and 7 for the McDonald's restaurant rebuild? Final plan project subject to all staff and engineering comments.
So moved.
Okay, motion for Mr. Russell. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second for Mr. Brubaker. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Up next, we have action item 3321 Columbia Avenue Final Plan.
Are you waiting on me to put the plan up? Oh. Let me get back to that folder. I went too far away from this.
Good evening. My name is Nick Grandy. I'm with RGS Associates. I'm here tonight to present the final plan for 3321 Columbia Avenue on behalf of the applicant Dutchland Realty Holding Corp. The site is approximately 17 acres located at 3321 Columbia Avenue. It is located in the CBC Community Business Center zone. I'll give a brief overview of the project and then I can update everyone on our approval and review cycles. As you can see on the plan, we're proposing a mixed-use development that will consist of 45 multifamily apartments, 20 single-family semi-detached duplexes, a 95-room hotel, a place of worship, and a little over 40,000 square feet of self-storage. All the proposed uses are permitted by right in the CBC zone. The site will be accessed by a private cul-de-sac street from Columbia Avenue with an emergency access drive extending from the end of the cul-de-sac out to Richardson Drive. The site's stormwater management will be provided through 2 surface facilities that will discharge to on-site existing wetlands. Public sewer and water will serve the project. Sewer will be provided by Lancaster Area Sewer Authority, and water will be provided by City of Lancaster. We will connect into existing mains located within Richardson Drive. A full sewer plating module is currently being processed, and both sewer and water capacities were approved. So right now, where we're at in the approval process, we have the Township DMA review letter of 1218, mostly administrative items there, no issues there. We are currently in review with PennDOT. So we have the PennDOT review and then also the Township Bowman traffic review. So we're working to finalize those with the traffic consultant. MPDS is currently being reviewed by DEP. We should be expecting that any day. Lastly, there was one final comment that we just resubmitted last week, and Lancaster City Water, we already have approval. So tonight we're seeking your approval of the plan and the 2 modifications of the plan. And so I can answer any questions you might have.
Just quickly run over the 2 modifications.
Yeah, so the first modification is for the cross section of the private cul-de-sac street. Being a private street, being maintained and owned by the applicant, not being dedicated to the township, we're asking for a reduced cross section. I believe that's going for the binder course, that's going from 6 to 3 inches. So that's the first modification, and that is recommended to be granted by DMA. And then the second is the loading ratios, which we have a letter from ECS, the geotech, recommending approval of that as well.
And they were both reviewed by DMA as well. Board, any questions?
No.
Yeah, this is a general question and maybe unfair to ask you, but I'm seeing a lot of self-storage units growing these days. You know, a lot of people are adding them. And when I drive by, I always think, you know, do we really need more of those? It's just a question, like, is it more financially prudent to have self-storage as well as, you know, motels and the other things that are there? Or was it more of like a, you know, you couldn't add more homes? Again, I don't know if you're the person to answer that.
Yeah, I know from the residential, we are at maximum density allowed by the site, but in terms of the commercial use.
Yeah,
it's definitely things that we're thinking about as well. in
Mr.
term-
Patel, can you give your name, please?
Shaker Patel with Dutchland Realty Holding Corp. So it's, we'll probably have a consultant tell us if it makes sense or not, or when it makes sense. There is a lot. You guys have that big U-Haul facility coming in, so it probably wouldn't be the first thing built on the site. You know, we really want to focus on the duplexes and the hotel, get that rolling, get that established and going before we really like attempt that portion of the site. But we hear you. I mean, we kind of monitor it, and we have to look at where the self-storage occupancy really is in the market before we actually go ahead and build that. We don't want it to be empty, of course, but you know, I think we've been doing this for like 2-3 years, and it's gotten a lot. You know, in the last 3 years, it seems like to be a lot more self-storage. So I don't know, like kind of wondering the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Brubaker, did you have any questions?
No. Thank you.
Any questions from the audience? Any from Zoom? Mrs. Garber, anything from Zoom? Okay. Okay, well, hearing none, is there a motion to approve modification waiver requests 1 and 2 for 3321 Columbia Avenue final plan project, subject to all staff and engineering comments?
So moved.
Okay, motion for Mr. Bennett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second for Mr. Johnson. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
One last thing I'll note, in DMA's letter, they noted that that the board specifically talks about the fee in lieu of park and recreation.
Okay.
So we have that proposed in our last response. So just want to see if we needed to seek separate approval on that, or.
The board's not
Is-
ready to take action on that. We'd like to hold that for the next meeting.
Okay, so do we hold the final plan approval then?
No, not necessary to do that.
Okay, so the fee in lieu will be worked out at a later date?
I haven't seen that
typically bring that-
documentation.
Excuse me. We typically bring that in front of you when we do the agreements and stormwater fees and financial security.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Motion, is there a motion to approve the final land development plan for the 3321 Columbia Avenue project, Township File 231102, subject to all staff and engineering comments?
So moved.
Okay, motion for Mr. Russell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Bennett. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck.
Mr. Chairman, if I could back you up to the McDonald's project and get a motion for the final plan.
Sure.
We have a motion for the waivers and modifications, but the final plan.
Aha, it's not checked here. So returning to action item number 4 for the McDonald's restaurants rebuild. So we did approve the waiver and modification request. However, we do need a final plan approval for that project. Is there a motion to approve the final land development plan for the McDonald's restaurant rebuild project, Township File 2414.02, and subject to all staff and engineering comments?
So moved.
A motion from Mr. Bennett. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second, I'm going to give that to, was that Mr. Brubaker? Yes. Okay. Mr. Brubaker, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0, and thank you, Mrs. Schweitzer. Okay, up next, we have the Steinman Blue-Green Corridor.
Jim, did you want the microphone? You can just take the microphone and sit.
Good evening. My name is Jim Schultz, and on behalf of the Simon Foundation and the Little Conestoga Creek Foundation, I am the project manager for the Little Conestoga Creek Blue-Green Corridor Project. I just appeared before you on November 20th to request your help, and here I am again tonight asking for a similar request but for more money and from a federal agency instead of a state government department. I started appearing before the East Hempfield Township Board of Supervisors starting in 2019, and I've appeared before you 6 or 7 times over the past 6 years to ask for your support and assistance. I want to thank you for this board's help over those years. There is no one source of funding for the trail and the stream restoration work that encompasses the Little Conestoga Creek Blue-Green Corridor project. Instead, we have to cobble together various sources of state and federal funds to have enough money to complete the project. And that's why I've been here, that's why I'm here tonight, and that's why I've been here in the past. So, I don't know what we have.
We're looking for it. I apologize.
That's okay.
I wanted you to, I wanted.
I
to
think
shoot
you're
out and
familiar.
forgot.
I don't think I have to put the,
No,
nah,
You're good.
we're good. The overall project is a combination of stream improvements and an ADA accessible walking, biking trail along roughly a 3-mile stretch of the Little Conestoga Creek from Marietta Avenue on the south to Swar Run on the north. The trail also encompasses Dorwood Park, which will be the primary trailhead. I'm here tonight to ask the township to be the applicant for a $5.4 million request to the U.S. Department of Transportation. When I was here in November, our request was for $1 million from the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. The U.S. DOT funds, which is called their RAISE, R-A-I-S-E program, will be used as part of the overall cost of the trail, including 2 new bridges. The overall cost of the segment of the trail is approximately $6 million. Of that amount, the foundation has committed $3.35 million from a variety of public and private sources. In order to build the trail, we need another 2.65. This is redundant because I mentioned these kinds of numbers the last time I was here. The U.S. Department of Transportation RAISE funds would help fill that gap. It would actually fill the gap. In addition, we're going to build 2 new bridges across the Little Conestoga Creek at an additional cost of $2.75 million. This will be from basically the Windsor Court area and East Hempfield Township across the stream over to F&M's property. Then as we go up to the north, we would also do an area around the Norfolk Southern Trestle. So there's going to be 2 new bridges. The second bridge, the one in the trestle, could be kind of spectacular, iconic, whatever you want to call it, but it's going to be costly in order to do it. When I was here in November, again, I requested the township to be the applicant for the $1 million of Pennsylvania money. That was a maximum amount that we could apply for under that state program. So I'm here tonight because the $5.4 million of federal funds will be used for the gap in the funding for the trail and these 2 new bridges. In order to apply for the U.S. DOT RAISE funds, we, the foundation, cannot be the applicant. We need a municipal government to be the applicant. If we are successful in getting the RAISE funds, we will work with the township staff and your solicitor to have all the contractual arrangements in place so that the foundation would be responsible for the use of the funds to construct the trail and the bridges. So I would respectfully request that the East Hempfield Township Board of Supervisors take the necessary public actions tonight to be the applicant for the $5.4 million request to the U.S. Department of Transportation RAISE funds for the trail and the bridges for the second segment of the Blue-Green Corridor project. The application is due January 30th.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Just again, thank you for everything you've been doing. And we've had a very long relationship now with this.
6 years.
Yep. So it's appreciate everything that you have been doing, and you and your association and the whole partners behind it have kept true to their word about controlling our costs and helping us along the way. So we greatly appreciate it, and you're doing a great project.
So you've seen some of the field work if you're down on Marietta Avenue and other areas. So the stream restoration work is underway. And then hopefully this year, working with your staff, we're going to hopefully get started with the trail, first segment of the trail. So we're anxious to get started with that as well.
So thank you again.
Yep. Thank you.
Jim, I'd like to echo Scott's comment. We're very appreciative of the work, in particular that you've done on this. You've really spearheaded the effort here, and as well as everyone at the Steinman Foundation in terms of the
Thanks.
project. I go by the project every day on Marietta Avenue. It's awesome. And so we look forward to moving this ahead with you, and we'll give you all the support we can.
Yeah. I'm asking a lot of, for my own edification, questions today, but is this the type of project that Ray's typically supports, or is this kind of like,
Well, we relate to the game because frankly, the York people for the Gorse Creek got $15 million last year. And so we found out about that. We immediately contacted them and said, how'd you do that? And so as a result, there are other projects similar to this. Matter of fact, one right across the river in York. Yes, they fund this kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
so we're optimistic.
Yeah, I am. I
Good.
really am optimistic. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Brubaker, did you have any comment?
Yes, I'd also like to express appreciation for this project and the effort that Jim has put forward and his team. As an avid cyclist and outdoors person, these kinds of projects, I know, I'm learning as well how difficult these things are to, as he said, cobble together the funds to make it work. But I would love to see this, especially once this is completed, it can maybe spearhead some additional extensions of this trail at some point this is a great anchor, in my opinion, to spearhead some more trail focus in our township. So I'm 100% behind this. This is great.
Okay. My only comment is thank you.
Thanks.
Do we have any questions or comments from the audience on this? Okay, any from Zoom? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion to authorize the township to be the applicant on behalf of the Blue-Green Corridor Project for the submission of a grant application to RAISE program through the U.S. Department of Transportation?
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Russell. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second from Mr. Brubaker. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Thank you again.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, before Jim sits down, if you had any comments about his quarterly report, which is also in the agenda, if you wanted to take that ahead of the bird goals and
Did anybody have any questions or comments on the report?
Good report.
No. Okay,
you're good. Thank you.
thank you. Up next, we have the committee assignments for the township for 2025, and I'm just going to read them off. For the administration committee, it will be Wigglesworth and Russell. For the finance committee, it's going to be Bennett and Russell. For planning and development, it will be Wigglesworth and Russell. For public safety, it will be Wigglesworth and Johnson. Park and recreation will be Bennett and Johnson. Public works will be Russell and Brubaker. Stormwater will be Brubaker and Johnson. And traffic commission will be Wigglesworth, Bennett, and Brubaker. Since we just had a few changes here on the committee assignments, I'd like us to be prepared at our next meeting, since we have some swap outs here, just to go over board goals. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, but when we come to our next meeting, let's plan on having a discussion about board goals.
Just like to just throw out and make this a regular conversation now as we talk about the financial issues for EMS and fire, that we really emphasize that as one of our top board goals about working out the financing long-term for both of them and educating the public about the new expenses that we're going to be seeing over the next couple of years that are greatly more than what we've ever encountered before. Just constantly hammer that point across almost every meeting now.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, and I'd like to mention too that I was interested in joining the public safety committee. So I want to thank Chairman Wigglesworth, for making that happen. I think Roger Brubaker made a sacrifice to make that happen too. So thank you to my fellow board members for making that adjustment.
Thank you. Old business, we have the Steinman Quarterly Report. We just sort of discussed that already. Any new business from the board? Okay, hearing none. Traffic Commission report, we had a very brief Traffic Commission meeting tonight. We approved parking signs for Wood Street at the T intersection with, is it Marietta?
Wood and, it's not Marietta.
Okay,
It's Perry.
it's the street that doesn't it go down to the firehouse?
Yes, it
I
is.
can't think of the name of it.
It's the right-hand turn.
Anyway, no parking signs along Wood Street. I guess there was an issue with large vehicles getting in and out of there, including fire apparatus. And that was really the only significant item that was discussed at the Traffic Commission meeting. Public comment. Do we have some public comment? Yes, sir. Dr. Hughes.
I would never have guessed that.
I suspect most of you have, I'm David Hughes, 854 Huntington Place. I suspect most of you people read the newspaper about the largest pristine plot sold at $13 million to High, 476 acres. And if you don't know where it is, it's between Centerville Road and Charlestown Road, and also it's Millersville. They claim in there that it could be up to 1,300 homes if they get the zoning changed. That means how much traffic is coming down Centerville Road, how much is coming down Roarstown Road, how much will come down Stony Battery Road, because we're right between the two major highways, east and west. Do you have any input on this to the county? This is going to be a disaster if they put that many houses in there. If any of you have ever been on Roarstown Road starting at about 3 o'clock, which is somewhat unusual, but heading until about 5, it literally goes from Harrisburg Pike all the way to Columbia Avenue, cars. And Centerville Road is very much the same, especially when they build something that's going to be bounded by Centerville Road. I mean, this is going to be horrible.
Dr. Hughes, I hear you on this loud and clear.
So they talk about Manor having the right to zone it, but it's going to affect Lancaster County. So what are we going to do? Put up a toll road?
Yeah, it is ultimately, as Mr. Wigglesworth talked about, it is Manor and Manor alone that does the rezoning. We have been involved in some of the traffic and discussions as the next door neighbor to this project. We knew that this potentially could happen years ago. So there's Centerville Road project that's going to be 5 lanes. That corridor was designed to account for the traffic. Roarstown Road 741 is not designed to account for the traffic right now, but Centerville was. So the new work that we built into Centerville did account for that.
Have you been on Centerville Road already?
Yes, I actually drive it daily, so yes, I do.
So you know that that's not going to help a lot.
It certainly, I professionally disagree with you on that one. It will, once it's 5 lanes and we're no longer dealing with traffic control, it's going to be a significant improvement on Centerville Road
That just mean more cars are getting on and off.
in a more timely manner. So the 741 corridor is the corridor of concern, and the township has been involved in discussions with the county about what could potentially be done to try to address some of the traffic that's going to come from High. That's the part we can do. We can't control the rezoning.
And it's going to be on Stony Battery too, for the people who want to go west on 283. And Stony
And
Battery is already car after car.
it'll be Stony Batter and it'll be Donnerville. There are other intersections north that are going to be issues too. We're,
Well, I'll have to listen to more brake retarders, won't I?
the only thing we can do is we are at the table. I mean, we don't have control over the approval process is the point that comes across here. So we are aware of it. It's not something that we're not aware of. Maynard Township,
Bit like New York City did, a congestion tax?
we cannot do that.
Are you sure?
I am positive we cannot at the local level do that. State can do that, but we cannot do that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's something to go after the state for.
Help us out, doctor. Give some
I-
ideas.
You don't want my help for this because I'm a little more radical.
Right. But we are aware of it. That's the point.
25 mile an hour would be great on Snapper Dine. 25 mile an hour would be great on all the others. And then just enforce it. We'd have no problems with tax raises and we just get a lot of money from them coming through at 35 miles an hour and 45 miles an hour.
But Dr. Hughes, I just want to say, I'm not on the same page with you with the congestion tax, but I am on the same page with you when we talk about density and the effects that it has on surrounding municipalities and the additional traffic and congestion it's going to bring.
So you're telling me that you will not rezone commercial property on Marietta Avenue opposite the pantry, right? That's commercial. That won't be rezoned. Is that what you're saying?
Rezoned?
Yeah, because it's commercial.
I have no plan.
It's not a very good commercial property, but it sure looks good for about 300 houses. How many do they have in the little place down opposite St. Leo's?
So we'll have to take a look at that specifically if something were to ever come before us, and I don't want to prejudice that, but I do want to thank you for bringing up a good point. And somehow this conversation got twisted, so I didn't get to finish my thank you. So let me finish by saying thank you. Because, but I do appreciate the discussion in reference to density. And I just think we need to take another look at that as a county and as a municipality. How high are we comfortable with the density numbers? And I think what you're bringing up, it's a big change for a lot of people. And it's something I think we should be thinking about as townships and also something we should be thinking about at the county level as well. So thank you.
And I do appreciate Johnson.
Do we have any other public comment? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Glenn Weidman, 2712 Saddleback Drive. We just got a recycling and trash bill, and it's about $82 more than it was last year. My wife and I are retired. We're seniors. I put out one 32-gallon tote trash can per week. Every other week, maybe my recycling. A lot of my neighbors have families, and they put out 3 times as much as I do. So I guess my point is there has the township ever looked into giving seniors a discount for trash? Or if you haven't, would you consider that in the future? I know it's too late this year, but I know that there are, I think West Lampeter and Lancaster Township do have, according to the friends I've talked to, do give discounts to seniors. And if that's 5%, 10%, wherever would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. We can always look at that, take a look at it, but just so you're aware, we make no money off of those trash fees. It's not money that comes, it's a pass-through. That money, unfortunately, the fees to get rid of the waste and the fees to collect it went up drastically. Just like all the other inflationary items, our contract ran out. We had a new contract, and it really significantly raised the fees. But in regards to your question, we can take a look at what other municipalities do if they do a senior discount, what that would look like. I think we want to be fair to all residents, try to come up with a simple, fair formula. But just so you're aware, the township does not collect or make any money off of the trash recycling program.
It's a public bid.
Yep. Did you want to say something, Mrs. Switzer?
We did investigate the reduction in costs for seniors or any program, and I couldn't find one. I put the word out to all the managers, and there was none. We do have a program based on income level that we have.
Okay. And maybe after the meeting, you can get some information on that, if it would be helpful. Okay. Up next, we have the manager's report.
Centerville Road, the most significant thing there is that Diane just found out the closure for that roadway to address the improvements at the railroad crossing will be the weekend of March 7th to the 10th. Mr. Hughes, you need to go out of town. That, of course, is dependent upon weather and everything. We have asked for a copy of their detour plan so that we're well aware, and we'll definitely post that on our websites. The Old Roystown Road project, the contracts are still winding down on that, but the work is essentially done. The Farmingdale Road long-term project, we did receive the check from the grant for $845,000. So that project is now done. The zoning hearing board meeting for the Colebrook Validity Challenge, we are likely going to have, the meeting for January has been postponed. We will likely have a meeting in February, but that's yet to be determined. Route 72 on Lidditz Road, I put out the word for 2 easements we need, 2 different property owners we need easements from. The one property owner has submitted them, and they're all signed and sealed. I am now working with the gentleman that owns a property. He is based in New York, so it's a little bit more difficult to work through that process, but we're working on it. The Her Park Phase 2 project, that's on hold based on weather. We're still waiting for a quote from Lobar for the Noldor Park project so that we have a better understanding of where those costs will come in. The Church and Knoll Road Park project, I'm still waiting to get word from GSL, the group, regarding the language in the contract. And as soon as I have that, I will pass that along so that we can get that signed. The Rec Authority has reached out to 2 architectural firms to provide them guidance on the pro shop and barn project that they're planning on doing. Those proposals have come back, and they will be reviewing those next week and provide a recommendation for adopting those and moving forward on that project. That project is to not probably, but to dismantle the barn and then rebuild a pro shop, which would be much more efficient for that operation. The 2024 audit is going to be starting in mid-February, so hopefully that will be completed by June, I hope. We talked about the Landisville Farm traffic concerns at the Traffic Commission. They've been addressed. The Wood Street has been addressed, as was mentioned. Stormwater projects, there's really not anything going on at this point in time. We're waiting for a couple grants to see if we have been awarded them. So nothing new there, and no meeting reports.
Okay. Do we have anything else from the board at this point? Okay. Mr. Brubaker?
None.
Okay. Well, hearing none, we will adjourn our meeting at 8:19 p.m. We will adjourn into executive session to discuss a pending legal matter, and we will not return. So, thank you and good evening.